Playwright Lynn Nottage's Intimate Apparel is a lovely and sad play, and it's being given a loving production at the New Jewish Theater under Gary Wayne Barker's direction. Esther is a 35-year-old single black woman making a living as a seamstress in New York City in 1905. With the tastefully designed and carefully wrought undergarments she creates on her sewing machine, she has developed a large clientele that ranges from the top of white New York society to the black prostitutes among her neighbors. But she's lonely. When she happens upon a pen pal, a man from one of the Caribbean islands shoveling out the Panama Canal, she accepts and enjoys his growing warmth and intimacy and eventually agrees to marry him, sight unseen. The wedding night is especially sweet and touching. What follows is not. Without forcing, playwright Nottage traces the many relationships that touch Esther, male and female, rich and poor, merchant and customer, black and white, even with the man from whom she buys fabric, Jew and Gentile. Mr. Marks is another lonely person, and he and Esther develop a strong attraction for each other. One of the play's sadnesses is that they both know in that time and place it cannot happen. Jim Butts is sweet and sensitive and touching as Mr. Marks, and the scenes between him and Jacqueline Thompson's Esther are the play's loveliest. Her scenes with Chauncey Thomas's George, the man she marries, can be touching, and they can be a horror. George is a proud man, trying to succeed, blocked and insulted at every turn because of his color, and Thomas is careful to let us see both the man's warmth and the frustrations and anger that drive his despicable acts. Andrea Purnell gives us a splendidly lively and deeply felt Mamie, Esther's friend. She's a talented musician, but she makes her living with her charm and good looks. Julie Layton plays Mrs. Van Buren, one of Esther's wealthy customers. She seems to have it all, but as Layton reveals, she is as lonely as Esther and even more desperate for companionship. Mrs. Dixon, Esther's landlady, is the ever-faithful friend who knows when to back off. Linda Kennedy, who played Esther in the memorable Black Rep production of Intimate Apparel, hits exactly the right notes here, as always. Jacqueline Thompson's performance of Esther is a subtle masterpiece. Esther's a very private person, and Thompson makes her always that, but she always lets us know exactly what Esther is thinking and feeling. And in a masterstroke, Thompson somehow manages to make herself the plain person that Esther and others say she is. Esther works with fabric, and set designers Peter and Marjorie Spack use voluminous drapes to mark the 5 playing areas they and director Barker ingeniously use to tell Esther's story. In the middle is Esther's bed, but it can be shared with wealthy Mrs. Van Buren's dressing room or with prostitute Mamie's living and working space. The two men, Mr. Marks and George, have areas at the opposite ends of the stage. Sean Savoy's lights help make it work. In a play about a seamstress, the costumes receive their proper attention from Michelle Friedman Seiler, with wigs by Christopher Sifford. Amanda Ware's sound design leans heavily on ragtime. Landon Tate Boyle was the dialect coach. In writing and production, New Jewish Theater's Intimate Apparel is about as good as theater gets.
I certainly agree with that.
It was a great evening.